welcome to another video. My name is Courtney if you haven't been here before and for some reason you have stopped by to hang out with me. I'm so glad you're here, and if you're a returning viewer, thank you so much. I hope you guys are doing well. Last video that I posted was a flip of my 100-day plus sketchbook, and there were so many beautiful, wonderful comments underneath that video. If you haven't checked that out, I'll link it down below. But a lot of the comments and a lot of the posts that I got on Instagram was, I would really love to see you work in this sketchbook. And I ummed and ahed whether I was going to do this or not, but I decided that I would give it a whirl. Now, this is not a completed spread in from start to finish where you guys see me create, but I did pick up my camera or my phone as I drew each day in this sketchbook on a particular spread. There are only 3 days in the spread that I did not complete. I have already filmed all the clips and I filmed the outro, and now I'm going to film the intro because I realized that I hadn't talked a little bit about the supplies that I was using, so I thought I would do that here. I'm not going to show you, I'm not going to open my sketchbook because that would ruin the surprise. So I was filming vlog footage for my patrons. So if you're a patron of mine, you have seen, I think, almost all of these little illustrations in one of your vlogs that you've seen. But I did say that the footage of me drawing in this sketchbook would then be compiled into this video. So I decided to pick up my camera and film little bits and pieces of these illustrations as they came to life. Please bear in mind that I draw on the couch pretty much every night. It is a nightly routine for me. I wish I was better at doing it first thing in the morning or earlier in the day, but I am juggling a lot of plates, not just being a full-time artist and content creator, but also a mum and a wife. And I juggle those not very well. So a lot of the footage may be tiny little bit shaky because I am also holding my phone as I draw or paint through the lens of my phone. I think the footage is fine, and I've had a lot of my patrons say that they loved the vlog, so I'm hoping you guys will be okay with it too. So for reference, this is my 100-day plus sketchbook. It is a Leuchtturm 1917 in the sketchbook composition. I can't remember the paperweight on this. I will link it down below. It is in the color wine. And does it say here? No, it doesn't. And the paper is like a little bit off-white. Not super white, but not super cream either. It's like it's a nice, and as you can see, the paper is very hefty. I haven't had any issues with it. I've only had a little bit of bleed through when I've done, like, I've gone a bit ham with like a dark ink or something. I pre-paint my pages to give myself something to go off and to sort of combat the blank page syndrome. I've mentioned all of this in previous videos, so I'm not going to go too much into that. For this video in particular, I had pared down my supplies quite significantly because I found myself lugging these huge pen cases up and down the house to draw in this sketchbook, and it was just becoming ridiculous. So recently I spent some time with my patrons paring down my supplies to have it all fit into my Delphonics pouch. This is the medium size. I'm not going to go through everything because it is just ridiculous, but if you want to know a more in-depth look and why I've picked what I've picked, you're more than welcome to go and sign up to my Patreon. I do 2 videos a week over there for the video tier, and I put a lot of heart and soul into that content. But I do have all of my sort of drawing pens in all the various sizes and nibs, a couple of the white pens, some water brushes as well, which are very rarely used, but they sometimes come in handy. I've got a couple of paint markers, some scissors and some glue, some random pieces of paper that I don't normally use, but sometimes they're there. I have a clip to keep my sketchbook open if I feel the need, and that's pretty much it. I have this little pen case that I tug around, and normally there is this one in here as well. So when I am just wanting to get the bare bones done, I will pull this little pen case out that has an eraser, a mechanical pencil and a ballpoint pen, as well as a TWSBI Eco with the platinum carbon ink in it, which is also waterproof. I don't tend to sketch in black very often. I sketch in browns and the wine color. They are a little bit softer in my opinion, and I only use black when I really need to. But I have been using the black pen for some just black and white doodling. So yeah, that's what I will pull out when I'm just heading to sketch the actual sketch and not color it in. And that is the best part, is that that's the first thing that I grab all the time. I also have this tucked inside, and this has my colored pencils in it to keep them separate from my markers. And so I have a mixture of Prismacolor. Things get messed up because of a nighttime I just kind of chuck things back into all the different places, and every night I sit here and sort it all out. So yes, I have a mixture of Faber-Castell Polychromos, the Caran d'Arche Luminance pencils, and some of my old faithful what are they called? Oh my goodness, what are they called? Please hold. My brain. Which brain? Prismacolor color pencils. I shouldn't have forgotten that. They were my very first colored pencils. They are some of my favorites, and when I am going out to sketch at a cafe, I actually have some of my favorites. This is a Sandy by the Lakeside pen case, but I have like some of my absolute favorites, and as you can see, they're very small and very little. They're from my original set that I saved up to buy when my little boo was very tiny. They were my first like big girl pencils, and so I keep all my favorites in my portable pen case. So this has got some highlighters for planning, and then if I want to do any drawing, I've got some of my favorite Prismacolors in there. I'm nostalgic about them, so I carry them in that pen case. But yes, that is my pencils. And then I use a mixture of actually no mixture, just some Tombow brush markers. I have a watercolor palette in here. I don't use it very often. I did use it in this video though, which is funny because I don't use it very often, but apparently I decided that I wanted to use it in this video. So I do have my little Pocket Rocket color palette, watercolor palette in here that you guys, if you've watched me for a long time, is pretty much the same palette, bar I think I've changed 1 or 2 colors over the years. And it's filthy. I apologize if this offends you, but I barely ever clean my watercolor palette. I probably should clean it a bit more often. Anyway, so that's why there are some watercolor brushes in there. And I just have that tucked into this front pocket here. But that is everything in there. I did have like a full pencil case. I'm pretty sure I've added a few markers in here since my paring down video, because I was working on my Patreon calendar and things got a little bit messed up in that. So I think there's a few more pencils and a few more markers and what should be in there. I'm just looking to see if I was working out exactly. There should only be this amount of markers and this amount of pencils, because this is what I was doing when I was working them out. I think I went testing and working them out and trying to work out exactly what I wanted, and this was what I had settled on. But I'm pretty sure I've added some, not because I wanted to, but because I just happened to tidy up really quickly. Anyway, so that's pretty much it. Like I said, if you want a more in-depth video, an in-depth look, there is one over on my Patreon, and I don't normally tout my Patreon, but I'm not going to make a second video. But that is basically the gist of the supplies that I use in my sketchbook, and you'll see those in the next few clips. All right, I hope you enjoy the clips of me working in my sketchbook. If you have any questions, please let me know down below. And also if you want more content like this one, again, let me know down below. I need to know what works and what doesn't in form of content, because I don't know what the masses like. I know my patrons enjoy this content, but I don't know if everyone else does. So without further ado, let's get on to the sketching.
misbehave, stay up till late, share all our secrets as we let go. No more illusions, no more standing still. Our love fusion will never cease to thrill. Wilderness, we give you our mess. We're so blessed to have you. Anchor our hearts and give us a fresh start. Wilderness, we've come for you. Like feathers in the wind, we dance along. No urge of acting strong. Wilderness, we give you our mess. We're so blessed to have you. Anchor our hearts and give us a fresh start. Wilderness, we've come for you. Wilderness, we give you our mess. We're so blessed to have you. Hey, you couldn't see it coming. You might have thought it, but you couldn't change it. Hey, it's not right or wrong. It's about trying, find the silver lining. Rain and fire, highs and lows, you name it. Cold
I hope you enjoyed spending a little bit of time with me between the pages of my sketchbook. I wanted to give you guys a look after getting so many compliments and comments on my last video that I could possibly pick up the camera or my phone and film as I drew in these pages. Obviously some of these drawings didn't get captured on film, but I tried to do as many as I possibly could. When deciding to do this little mini project for you guys, I actually got really sick with a cold that my husband brought home from work and was sick for 2.5 weeks. So I was struggling through filming these. I was also filming these one-handed, using my phone as I drew and colored, which is why I decided to do them in segments instead of doing them from start to finish. Plus, it's a lot of drawing footage. Sometimes these little illustrations take me a really long time. Sometimes they take me no time at all, especially if they pop up during the watercolor. So the ones that you didn't see me illustrate in this video would have been this one, which was a long parenting day. I had realized at like 11:30 that I hadn't drawn. I don't have these days very often anymore. I call them lovingly my teacup humans, but they are well and truly much bigger than teacups at the moment. They are fully fledged teens, almost adults now. And like I said, I don't have long parenting days very often, but this was a really big struggle day parenting wise, and clashing with a very strong teenager. It was just a little bit taxing, and I realized very late at night that I hadn't drawn anything. So this was like a 3-minute sketch that I colored in really quickly just to really capture how I was feeling, which was a bit discombobulated. So yeah, I didn't capture these, and this one I wanted to just have a play. I had been umming and ahhing about participating in Folktale Week and was trying to decide if I had the confidence to start such a big project, I guess. And I think I'm building this project up in my head way too much, and still to this day, I think the first prompt goes live on the first picture is due on the 13th of November. I still to this day haven't really just decided whether I'm going to jump in or not, or whether I will try and play around with the prompts like outside of social media just for my own personal growth. So I was just playing around with the idea of putting my monsters into scenes, which is something that I have struggled to do quite often, and it's something that I wanted to work on. I think I have moments where I want to do just that, like putting them into places and turning them into things. Is something that I really wanted to start working on and towards. And so that was kind of something that I've been thinking of, like this little guy in the house, stuff like that. So it's been on my brain, in my brain cells, and trying to get them to feel a little bit more immersive and not just a 2D thing. And to give them stories. I had planned out all the prompts and how I was going to tackle it with monsters, but like I mentioned, well, you guys haven't heard it, but I was talking to my patrons, and I feel like there is a skill gap between my imagination and my current skill level, and I don't feel like I have the skill to bridge that gap just yet. But then in the back of my mind, I'm like, well, maybe I can just play outside of even showing anyone to see what I can accomplish. And I can't bridge that gap without making steps towards that. So it's kind of where I am at the moment with that kind of concept. And then the cat was just a late night scribbly drawing while watching the House of Usher, the cat episode. That is basically why there is a cat drawn, and cats are one of the things that I struggle really hard to actually capture. And this is really basic version of a cat. Like I have a lot of trouble for some reason drawing cats, and considering I own a beautiful black cat, and okay, I feel like she owns us to be really honest. I really would like to have better cat drawing skills. But yeah, this is where my spread here currently lies. In the last few days, these two have been found in the watercolor. That's why they're not sort of proportionally accurate. Sometimes I really enjoy the quirky nature of those ones, and this was because yesterday I lost a whole heap of time thinking that the Fourth Wing second book, The Iron Flame, was released yesterday, but here in Australia they were going off the American time. So I'd taken a really long train to go to a flagship store in the city. I could have gone to my local bookstore and not wasted as much time, but I was wanting to sort of immerse myself in the atmosphere of going to a really beautiful bookstore to buy the book, and it was not released. And so it was a big waste of time. I also had my train was running late due to something happening with the trains. I bought myself a pastry to console myself, and I dropped it on the ground before I even got to eat any. It was one of those really laughable moments now that they're over, but I was like just done with the whole day yesterday. I felt like I just lost time. So that was definitely a representation of how I'm feeling. So I've got a few pages to go. And then like I'm excited to see where this sketchbook ends up when it's finished. But yeah, so I hope you enjoyed hanging out with me and seeing some of these guys come to life in bits and pieces. If you would like a video like this again in the future, I am more than happy to do so if there is enough interest. I will come back and flip more of this sketchbook when I've done. Probably the end, I think, will be where I come back and flip. I think once it's completed will be the next actual flip. But if you'd like more process videos in the way that I've filmed it, because it's the most economical way for me to film these is just in tiny clips and not the whole start to finish process, because there's just too many illustrations and I am drawing them daily. So yeah, anyway, I hope you enjoyed this little video, and I hope that this has given you some inspiration to start your own daily drawing practice, or even just to start a drawing practice. It doesn't have to be daily. I have just found that the daily practice part of it has been integral to my creative journey, and I am absolutely loving it and can't see myself changing. I drew every day even though I was sick, and even though I felt like absolute crap. it was the one thing that I made sure that I did every day, because it made me feel better for like a little bit. For a little bit. All right, my loves, have a fantastic rest of your week, and I'll see you again soon.